Welcome to the Leadership by Design podcast, where thoughtful leaders share lessons from their journey. I'm David Adams, founder of the Business Freedom Group, and today we have Nitin Gupta from Vavtech. So, welcome, Nitin. I'd love to start off with you telling our audience a little bit about yourself, your company, what you do, and how you got to where you are.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's an honor and a pleasure. Just to start with, I'm located in Delhi, India, and born and brought up in Delhi. My education, I did my undergrad in architecture as in a building designer. Father was also an architect, very passionate one. And somehow, even though I completed architecture, I could have stepped into my father's company. He had an established practice. But as things were, I decided to venture out, took my own experience, very adventurous in the beginning, and then slowly I settled down. Then joined this company where I spent almost 30 years. Joined as an employee, but then grew on to the most senior leadership in India. The company is an architectural firm with the office in India. The roots go back to Canada, Montreal. And my guru, Mr. Ramesh Khosla, he's an Indian who shifted to Canada in 1950s and it's a Canadian citizen now. For 30 years, I really, architecture was my love and passion, design. And I think along with that, I would say a continuous zeal to learn and to build up a team. That is what really took me ahead. And my clients, I would say, thankful to them that they used to love me. They are the ones who I would say pushed me ahead in my own company, and I was made along with a couple of my own colleagues as the co-directors and led the company. And just around an year back, I would say a major shift happened. That is not, I would consider, something normal. But after so many years in the profession and with the company, I somehow got inspired by artificial intelligence and what it can do to our world. And I sort of ventured out into exploring how AI and software can be used to do automation in the work that I had learned for so many years. So that is now what has brought me to where I am. So I have withdrawn from my architectural consultancy work, and today I am leading a technology company called WaveTech AI. It is my baby, my startup, and here we are creating AI softwares to automate the building design process. So, in a nutshell, that is what we are doing. So, from leading a team of more than 100, architects, and then further sub consultant teams, today I'm back to a very small unit. Started from literally a garage run situation. Now we are around 15 of us, and we have created software which is now being sold even in US and for export from India. So this is a whole new world, I think, and we are facing new challenges every day.
Well, that's a great journey. I'm sure it took a lot of hard work along the way, and it's great that instead of just staying comfortable where you were, you decided you wanted a little bit of a new challenge. That's fabulous. So so from your perspective, you've obviously identified AI as a big trend in many industries, yourselves included. How do you see that impacting, specific processes and people in your industry?
So I would not say that this was a heavily calculated decision. It is something that just came in organically, and then the passion.
And
But
I'm,
the
I'm I'm sure you've heard our expression. It sounds like a gut feel.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I think as you grow in age, your gut, you start believing your gut more more than your, brain. But the fact is that what the industry that I am in, we call that AI in construction.
Okay.
So to share with you, AI in construction is, growing at a CAGR of 27%. Construction, interestingly, happens to be the least innovated industry for last 30 years, least innovated. And
Okay.
now suddenly there is so much work around the world. Industry realizes that if it does not adopt technology, it will die. So AI, as it is in the other industries, but in construction, it is like, booming. It is from a valuation of 5.5 billion USD. It is poised to grow to 15.5 billion in 2030. So that is the kind of growth that is there in the industry. Obviously, because of that, there is a lot of buzz. And I would say I'm lucky that, we've come in this industry, and then with my domain expertise and some very good talent of software in India, we are able to sort of, I would not say right now we are riding the wave, but we are preparing ourselves.
Now that's probably where the name of the company comes from. Wave Tech, right?
Okay.
Riding the wave.
That's right. Yeah.
So what use cases specifically are you going after? I find it interesting that Wave Tech mentions architecture, engineering, and construction. That's a pretty broad spectrum. So
Right.
what are sort of some of the key use cases you guys are going after?
Sure. So I would define the problem in a very simple manner. The interesting thing that is happening around the world is that the young children, when I say young children, the children who want to go into college education, right? Every child wants to go into tech, IT, computer, and that's around the world. Uh, Unfortunately, the core engineering, that is the civil engineering, mechanical engineering, very few engineers are, really following the whole path and becoming like a design engineer. That is what the basic problem is. As a result, because of the pressure on the existing aging expertise, uh, unfortunately, the work is so much that we are getting the design output that we are getting from the industry is
Mhm.
heavily unoptimized.
Hmm.
So mostly it has shifted to thumb rule design. The Nobody has the resources, first of all, to do an accurate optimized design. On top of it, projects have very strict deadlines. So even if you see that there is an unoptimized design, nobody has time to
Hmm.
check it, because checking is also done manually. So if you don't have resources to design, who would check it and optimize it?
Right.
So industry right now is biting the bullet, and there is an inherent wastage in the industry. Industry is spending as much as 25 to 30% extra cost. Now this
Hmm.
is where we are hitting, right? So by automating the engineering design of a building, we are creating super fast options for the builders, developers, the contractors, and then finally the consultants also, the engineers also, that they can audit and optimize their designs very fast and see if there is a wastage, right?
Hmm.
Once they are able to see it fast, then they'll be able to correct it fast. That is the basic hypothesis. So these are the softwares that we are working on. We have made a software for the MEP design industry, which is the mechanical, electric, plumbing.
Hmm.
There is a specific pain point that we are solving. We've already got a good product market fit because we started selling the software.
And
Second, now,
what's that pain point?
so pain point, Dave, is that when these are three different streams: mechanical, electric, plumbing.
Right,
Each of this engineer is like a super specialist.
right,
So what, when they are doing their own detailed engineering, they are working in their own time, in their own offices, and now with international projects, sometimes around the world. Each engineer may be in a different zone. So
right,
effectively, when you merge their design, it is one building after all, right? It is one defined false ceiling. You have a ceiling in your office, in your commercial building, and above these false ceilings, you have these air conditioning ducts, electrical cable trays, right? Now they all need to find their own seamless path without any conflicts and clashes. However, because of this uncoordinated beginning, you have clashes and conflicts. This is an age-old problem, so what our software does is that it is able to automatically resolve these clashes. So we ride on a model with clashes. You run my software on that, Wavetech software on that. Software is called BAM Rock, and it just gives you a clash-free model. That is how simple it is. So it runs mathematically. There are rules and logic built into it. So today I was reading about the autonomous vehicles, and they run on a very similar software, rule-based primarily, that
well,
we work on.
thanks for making it very tangible for me and the listeners. Now let me shift you back a little bit into leadership. So, how have you found leading teams of architects versus teams of software engineers? What commonality, what differences have you found in leading those?
Okay, great question. So fundamentally, I think human beings are the same, right? That is what I've learned. Uh, but yes, architects being on the creative side, uh, what you need is there is an energy that is flowing, I would say, which is more on the aesthetic side, more on the, you're talking about colors, you're talking about forms, you are talking about, it's all in the three-dimensional realm. That is always the scenario, right? And then obviously there is the planning aspect. So leading a team of architect, it is always, you are always inspired by some thought, some process, and you have a problem at hand. You try and so it's rather than, I would say, solving a problem, you are trying to create something that addresses the problem. That is how the architect, designer, I would say, and leading a team. That is the kind of the kind of system or the kind of environment that you built in. That you are looking for more and more ideas. That is how it is. Sort of it works. However, now interestingly, when I'm working with the software engineers, now these guys are mathematicians inherently. Inherently, software engineers or an AI engineer is a mathematician. So the beauty of the situation here is that somehow all the problems that I have to work with them, I have to really go back to the mathematician, little bit of a mathematician that I was in my school and college, and I have to somehow break it down mathematically for them. Any problem that you, because obviously they are not from the building domain. So when I'm discussing with them, that is how I am able to approach the problem, and then lead the team. I would say, but honestly, I'm not an expert there, so it's very interesting how I am able to interact with them and somehow convey. It's like two people with two different languages uh,
Well,
trying to learn and communicate with one another.
yeah, a classic leadership struggle is many people like yourselves rise through their profession. They get so good at their profession that they, when they see a problem, they want to solve the problem. You talked about setting the conditions for the problem to be solved by the team. And I think that's often very hard for a talented problem solver to step back and say, my job is not to solve the problem. My job is to give the team what they need to solve the problem.
Yes, absolutely. I think I was, it's good you prompted me there. So I would say for the architects, now when I last 1 year back, till 1 year back, I was leading them around. So, with I had some very talented senior designers with me. And I think what was required for them to show them the path and to inspire them, that is what was required. It was, I really had to, I would say, to bring the best out of them. I had to challenge them. I had to inspire them. I had to show them some new directions, and that is what was needed.
And do you have a story of maybe where you made a misstep and then you had to clean it up and go back in the right direction? As leaders, we're all making mistakes, right? We're always in course correction.
Well, you are absolutely right. So I do remember a building that I designed. It is there in South India, and it was quite a challenge. It is today an iconic building of a state capital. It is the police headquarters, 100-meter high building, and I had a very simple brief from the head of the state that they want an iconic structure, and that is it. They said it fine. It'll be a office building where the police is functioning, but we want an iconic building. So we really, I would say, when struggling with the design, the thoughts were coming, and we were going in a direction where we were always picking. Uh, for some reason, it was we were not getting the right design, and we were, and somehow I would say what maybe the mistake that I was doing was that I was thinking in isolation.
Hmm.
And, suddenly when the Eureka movement came, I think that came really because, I accepted that somehow the thought was not coming, the idea was, and then we opened up. We opened up to the client who was the police commissioner, people in police whom somehow we thought that they were not creative. So we, we were not interacting openly with them, and then with my own team. And somehow, then the idea started flowing. And today the building is an established icon. It's a landmark building of that city amongst the modern buildings. And
Oh,
that's a moment I remember where we went into a wrong direction and somehow we got pulled back. Right.
no, it's a great lesson. Thank you for sharing, sort of seeing a big challenge and sort of retreating into your own thinking and then realizing you have to open and not only to your own staff but to your customer. That's
Right.
fabulous. Now, in architecture and in software that you're doing right now, what what sort of things do you think are very process driven versus some things are sort of driven by what we often call tribal knowledge? It's and you talked about the problem with having enough people to staff the industry and things like that. So you're trying to remove some things from tribal knowledge and put them into process, right?
Right. Right. There are some team members or some individuals, whether software engineers or architects, now after having worked with both the kind of professionals. So I would say it is really individuals who are driven by, there are individuals who will always follow process, however hard you try to make them run faster or go by their gut. They would stick to the process and then only, so generally they are great at execution. That is what my experience has been. However, the real adventurous who go by the tribal knowledge and who pick from, I would say, want to break from the traditional mold. Normally, those are the different kinds. And I have generally found that they are the ones who come up with these great initial concepts.
Hmm.
So I would say now that I have learned concepts is not just in the design of the buildings, but it is towards the software also. And so it's really and how as a leader you can balance and take the whole team like a group together is where probably your success lies, that you can take this team. And I've really found rarely found one individual who's able to make best of the both.
Yeah,
It
okay.
really comes from the inherent training and the character of the person.
Right. Now, when you were sharing your background, you mentioned a mentor from the Canadian part of the company. You also mentioned some customers who have lifted you up over time. So pick a story of someone who was a leader in your career and how has that affected your leadership of others?
Oh, absolutely. I think there are really there is one customer of mine who with whom I've had a fantastic relationship. I started with making working on a one of his hotel projects, and then we successfully completed that. And I think right after that we really stuck. Uh, uh, I would say it was a good union of heart and mind. And he was of my father's age, so it was like truly I was he used to tell me that in me he saw what he was 40 years back. So that's what he said. There's a lot of fire in you, so you keep that fire on, and this is how I was. And so he really used to mentor me and support me. And finally, as he grew up in his business, we also grew with him. And he really, at one time, there was so much work that we I was doing for him. We were doing townships, we were doing hotels, we were doing educational institutions, IT institutional schools, hospital, name it. That we were really building virtually a city.
Well,
With him,
it
and
yeah, I was
yeah,
just
I
going to say
think.
it's great that you had someone who sort of identified that fire, that passion in you, and I presume that that's what you try to do for others now.
Yes, I think so. Absolutely. I have learned from him and my guru in Montreal,
Hmm.
Mr. Ramesh Khosla. Both of these leaders, I think they were so uh, caring
Hmm.
to the junior team members. And so somehow those are the qualities we picked up. It is an age gap that brings an experience gap. It is if I can make them grow in life,
Mm.
actually I'm growing in all respects. That is how they. So the way we look at our children, that is how we should, all leaders should look at like that. Their teams are growing, then only they can grow. I mean, I don't see any other way.
You make me think of a phrase I thought of a while back when I was doing a lot of volunteer work, and I found that serving others serves me.
Wow,
Yeah.
fantastic. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
If you could give other business leaders a piece of advice, an actionable step that they can take to become a more thoughtful leader, what would that be?
Well, I would say humbleness, I would say, is one virtue that should take a leader, far ahead, because you are already a leader. So I think the more you can make, the people around you uh, sort of, obviously they will look upon you, and you have to lead by example. You have to inspire them. But, finally, if they are able to share their emotions with you, that is when you are successful. That is what I would say. And especially in today's times, when there is so much fighting going around, I think we should be adjusting, we should be accommodative, I think, and carry the whole herd together. That is how,
I love that. As an engineer, I learned that people's emotions were often expressed in long laundry lists of technical issues. And once you solved the emotional problem, the technical issues all got solved by them.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I love that you brought out, to pay attention to that emotional side. Thank you very much. Well, thanks again, Nitin. It was a real pleasure. And to our listeners, thanks again for tuning in to Leadership by Design to keep your leadership thinking fresh with lessons from thoughtful leaders like Nitin. So we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Pleasure.